NBA Fantasy Start/Sit Guide for Week 15. RotoWire highlights the best players to start at each position heading into Week 15 of fantasy basketball. Cut to host standing in front of NBA graphics with the title, NBA Fantasy Start/Sit Guide for Week 15. What's up, fantasy hoopers? Welcome back to the channel. Week 15 of the NBA season is upon us, and it's shaping up to be an exciting one. We've got plenty of 4-game teams, and some key injuries are opening up opportunities for other players to step up. So today we're diving into the Start/Sit Guide for the week, helping you make the toughest roster decisions to maximize your fantasy squad's performance. Let's get into it. First, let's take a look at the schedule. For Week 15, a lot of teams are playing 4 games, including the Hawks, Celtics, Hornets, Bulls, Cavs, Mavericks, Nuggets, and many more. Meanwhile, we have a handful of teams with only 3 games, including the Nets, Warriors, Grizzlies, and Heat. And unfortunately, we've got a couple of teams like the Pacers and Thunder with just 2 games on the docket. Alright, now let's jump into the fantasy decisions. Starting with the guards, who do you start and who do you sit? First up, we've got Kelly Oubre Jr. of the Philadelphia 76ers. With Joel Embiid out, Oubre has stepped up big time, putting up back-to-back 22-point performances, with solid contributions in both rebounds and assists. He's averaging 17 points, 7.5 rebounds, and over a steal per game in January, and with the Sixers playing 4 games this week, he's a must-start if you need a guard or forward in your lineup. Start, Keyonte George, Jazz, 33% start rate. Graphic of Keyonte George's stats and highlights. Next, we've got Keyonte George of the Utah Jazz. George has been on fire lately, averaging 22.5 points, 6.5 assists, and 4.3 rebounds over his last 4 games. Even though he's had a few shooting struggles, his overall production makes him a solid play. He's going to see plenty of playing time, and if you need a guard with upside, Keyonte George is the guy to start. Sit, Jrue Holiday, Celtics, 63% start rate. Graphic of Jrue Holiday's stats and highlights. Now on the flip side, let's talk about Jrue Holiday of the Celtics. Despite the Celtics playing 4 games this week, Holiday's fantasy value has been limited, with only 9 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.6 assists over his last 8 games. With so many stars in the Celtics lineup, he's not getting the same opportunities. You might be better off rolling with a player from a 3-game team like Tyrese Halliburton or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this week. Let's move on to the forwards. Who's looking like a start this week? First up, Vit Krejci of the Atlanta Hawks. With injuries opening up more playing time for Krejci, he's been delivering solid numbers, including 12 points per game on great efficiency. The Hawks are playing 4 games, and with Trae Young also out for a game due to a hamstring injury, Krejci should get even more chances to shine. Start, Jaden McDaniels, Timberwolves, 25% start rate. Graphic of Jaden McDaniels' stats and highlights. Next, Jaden McDaniels of the Minnesota Timberwolves. McDaniels has been hot lately, averaging 14.6 points, 5.1 rebounds, and playing lockdown defense. He's been shooting efficiently, and with Minnesota playing 4 games this week, you should definitely consider starting him. He's a great option for points, boards, and steals. Sit, Jalen Johnson, Hawks, 59% start rate. On the other hand, Jalen Johnson is a risky start this week. With no clear return timetable for his shoulder injury, Johnson is unlikely to play a significant role in Atlanta's 4-game stretch. It's safer to bench him for now and look for healthier options. Finally, let's talk about the big men. Who's stepping up at center this week? Start, Nick Richards, Suns, 26% start rate. Nick Richards of the Phoenix Suns has taken full advantage of his starting role and has been posting huge numbers, including a career-high 19 rebounds in his last game. He's averaging 13.3 points and 12.3 rebounds over his last 4 games. And with the Suns playing 4 games this week, he's a great option for your center position. Start, Onyeka Okongwu, Hawks, 51% start rate. Graphic of Onyeka Okongwu's stats and highlight. Another solid start is Onyeka Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks. He's been on a tear lately, averaging 16.6 points, 12.3 rebounds, and over a steal per game in his last 7 contests. He's firmly locked in as the starting center for Atlanta, and with the Hawks playing 4 games, Okongwu should be a key contributor on your fantasy squad. Sit, DeAndre Ayton, Trail Blazers, 66% start rate. Graphic of DeAndre Ayton's stats and highlights. DeAndre Ayton is a risky play this week. He's missed 3 straight games with a knee sprain, and there's no guarantee he'll suit up for all of Portland's games. With only 3 games on their schedule and Ayton's uncertain availability, it's probably best to bench him and look for healthier options. So, that's your fantasy start/sit guide for week 15. Make sure to keep an eye on those injury reports and take advantage of the players who are stepping up in expanded roles. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more fantasy basketball tips, and drop a comment below on which players you're starting or sitting this week. Thanks for watching and good luck with your fantasy lineups this week.